Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the gardens. I'm Miss Linda with your Grow Lacrosse garden lesson. I'm here coming to you from the Hamilton SOTA 1 Elementary's Edible Schoolyard. This is a type of community garden. Do you remember a few weeks ago when I took you to my neighborhood garden, the Washburn neighborhood garden? Well, this is just a little bit different, where that garden, it was part of the community, anybody could come, but you kind of had your individual spots. This type of garden is wide open, where anybody traveling by these yummy raspberries or seeing any of these fruit trees could come and pick what they need and want. Just a little bit as you go, just so you can share with everybody, but it is open access gardening. Now, as you know, we've been working with the UWL students, and I asked them, what's your favorite thing about food and nature? Last week it was Hannah with those pumpkins. I really love pumpkins, but I learned so much more by just listening to somebody sharing about something that they enjoy, that I learned a lot. This week, I asked my friend Katie what her favorite thing was, and she told me that it was these community garden spaces. She wants to take a look at a special one that's in La Crosse at the YMCA. It's called a food forest. We call this at Hamilton SOTA an edible schoolyard, but it's the same concept as come on, take some, share in the bounty that we have here. We're gonna go take a look with Katie and see what she has to show us, her favorite parts, anything that she can find to eat, and maybe a yummy recipe to share. Let's go check it out at the YMCA Food Forest.
Hi everyone, my name's Katie, and today I'm in the community garden outside of the YMCA, and this is a place where anyone can come and pick any food they want and take it back home to cook with. So I'm going to give you a quick little tour of the garden before we get started. So you walk in and you come through this path right here, and there's a bunch of plants all over. And because it's gotten cold recently, a lot of the plants aren't still alive, but next spring they'll start to sprout again. As you can see, there's everything from like herbs to different plants, and even over there there's some little yellow tomatoes that are growing. And you can take whatever you want. So just give a quick walkthrough. There's different trees with fruits growing, and then herbs below it. Different types of berries. And it all has this mulch path, which is super nice to walk around in. So walking down this way, I noticed this huge bush of mint leaves right up here. And mint is super yummy and really good in a lot of different recipes, so I think I'm gonna pick some and bring it back home. So I know this is a mint leaf because once I pick it and I break the leaf in half and I smell it, it smells exactly like a piece of gum or something minty. So now I picked a bunch of mint leaves, so now it's time to go back to my kitchen and cook something yummy. So before we go back and start making the recipe, you gotta make sure to wash your hands before you cook. Wash all the mint leaves because they could have dirt like this one. So just make sure to get all that off, and make sure to ask your parents' permission before using a blender or knives or anything sharp like that. Hi everyone, so now we're back in my kitchen. I have the mint leaves that we picked from the community garden, and today we're gonna make a mint chocolate chip smoothie. So for that, what you'll need is any blender that you have. You'll need a tablespoon of cocoa powder, a half cup of chocolate chips, all the mint leaves that you picked. It really is up to you how much. Any type of milk, I have almond milk, and then one banana. So first you gotta peel your banana and put it into your blender. One full banana, and I just break it in half so it can blend easier. And then I already measured out a half cup of chocolate chips. Pour those in there. And then for the cocoa powder, we have to measure out 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to open up the cocoa powder, put in my tablespoon. It's the one that says TBS. Put it in there. And then I make sure to level it so you get the right amount. So you just kind of scrape it against the edge there, so then you get the right amount. Pour that in. Okay. And then here's all my mint leaves, and I have some stems in the mint leaves just because I didn't pick it super well. So then you want to make sure to just pick all the leaves off. And like I said, you can put as much in as you want, however minty you want it. So I'm going to do these 2 stalks. So I'm picking off all the leaves, and I can smell the mint already. It smells really good. Picking all these off. Make sure not to get the stems in there. It's okay if you get the stems in there, but the leaves are where all of the taste is, so you just want the leaves. Okay, so now that we got that, put all my extra mint leaves away, and I can use them for another time. And now we're gonna fill, there's a little max line right here. I'm just gonna fill the blender with that. I'm gonna fill it up with milk to that line. Just like that. Okay, and then I want it to be cold smoothie, so I'm gonna put in some ice cubes. I think I'm gonna put in 4 ice cubes, but you can put in however many you would like. Close that up. Put the bottom of the blender on. Make sure it's tight so nothing leaks out. And now it's time to blend. So when you're blending it, you want to make sure that all the leaves get ground up because you don't want to drink any leaves. That wouldn't be good. And you want to make sure the chocolate chips also get blended up because those can be kind of chunky too. So you want it to be all smooth, just like kind of like it is here, but I'm going to pulse it a few more times, blend it up a little more just to make sure. So we just give it a little. Okay, that looks about good. So then we take off this lid. And it looks just like a chocolate milkshake. So before we try the smoothie, I'm going to go over a little bit of history about mint. So back in medieval times, which was a super long time ago, in Europe, they used mint to freshen their breath and make it smell good. And they would mix it with vinegar, and they would chew the mint leaves up with the vinegar to make sort of like a mouthwash, but it definitely did not taste good. It did not taste like the mouthwash we use today. And then a little bit later than that, they made Altoids with mint flavor. Those are those little white mints that are in the little tin, and people loved them, and it made mint a really popular flavor. And then a little bit after that, because it was so popular, they started adding mint to things like toothpaste and mouthwash and stuff like that, like the mouthwashes we see today. And then after that, because it gained so much popularity, people started putting mint flavor in gum, and that's where mint really took off. So along with freshening your breath and being used in toothpaste, things like that, scientists also say that mint can help stomach aches and chest pains. So it tastes good, it's good for you, and it's fun to go pick. So now it's time to taste test. And I really like this smoothie. It tastes just like mint chocolate chip ice cream, which I really like. But it's with ingredients that I found within the community, in the community gardens. And it's pretty cool that you can make something so good and so yummy with stuff that you can find around town. So I would encourage you guys to take your parents, take your family out to the community gardens. There's bunches and bunches around La Crosse and on Alaska, and find some different ingredients that you can use for new recipes.
Well, thank you, Katie, for sharing with us about your experience at the Food Forest at the YMCA. I agree that these open access garden spaces, these community gardens, are really something special and should be shared. It was really special that Katie was able to find some food to use from these spaces. Normally at this time of year, the annual vegetables and the berry bushes and fruit trees are done producing for the year. But what's left is still an abundance of food for our insect and other animal friends in the garden. These spaces are very important for our insect and other animal community, especially in a spot in a location like this where it gets very cold in the winter. Now humans, we can go into our houses or go to the grocery store for our food, and it's very accessible for us. But when the winters get cold, a lot of these plants will die back, and the critters, like the birds and the squirrels and things like that, need access to food. This is what this kind of space provides, and these food forests and edible schoolyards. They offer the access to seeds and nuts and things that they can store, these tiny critters can store over the winter to survive these hard winters. Now, when the animals are looking for food, that has a special name, and it's called foraging. Have you ever heard of that word before? Foraging for food is basically looking around for things that you can eat. It's identifying a plant, knowing what it is, and also knowing that you can take it and eat it. Now, we might take it and go preserve it or freeze it or save it at home, like maybe squirrels do as they fill their cheeks and take it back to their nest. But many kind of animals just need to keep eating and have access to food throughout the winter. And that's what these spaces provide. The seeds and things that birds can just come in the middle of the winter and still find food here. We are happy to provide these spaces since we build our houses around here. It's nice to give some room and space back to the critters that also live in our city. Should we give this foraging thing a try? I thought so. I want to just thank the Edible Schoolyard for giving us a wonderful bounty this year, but I don't want to do my foraging here today. I want to take the opportunity to show you one more food forest type place in our community. It'll be at the Myrick Park Center, so come along. Thanks for coming along. Welcome to the Myrick Park Center. I really enjoy this area. It's near the marsh in La Crosse. If you've never been to the marsh, they have this beautiful water scene as well as walking trails that the community can enjoy. The Myrick Park Center is really something special. They have wonderful exhibits that teach you about the wildlife in a wetland like this, as well as a demonstration garden, a rain garden, and a pollinator patch. When I talk about providing space for our wildlife friends, the Myrick Park Center does a really great job with that. Now, we're going to try foraging. Now, I'm not going to be looking for food that I want to eat. I'm going to be looking for food that I think a squirrel or a bird or a butterfly or a bee might be interested in. I'll be looking around or foraging for that food. Now, each piece of food or thing that I happen to find, I want you to be thinking to yourself, what would eat that? In case it might be a berry or a nut or something, thinking about what animal would think that is a tasty treat. Now you can either write down your ideas, your guesses, or you can say them aloud. All right. Let's go take a look around. There's lots of space to examine, but we'll see what we can find for our little critter friends. Well, we really did find something for a lot of different types of woodland creatures. Nuts for squirrels, berries and seeds for our birds, as well as flowers still in bloom for our insect population. Now, as you can see, there's plenty of space provided here for our critter friends. Now, your task this week is to take a look around your outdoor space at your home or where you safely play in your neighborhood. I want you to put kind of the vision on as one of these creatures. Maybe it's a squirrel or bird or insect, and take a look around and see, is there food for these creatures around where you live? Perhaps next year we need to provide more space for these creatures to ensure that they are able to survive this winter. Just like we are going into our warm homes with our food, we want to provide them with safe haven or a place to live, but then also a place where they can access food. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Thank you, Katie, for the tour and our experience in the food forest at the YMCA, the Edible Schoolyard, and as well here as Myrick Park Center with their food forest as well. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week in the gardens.
We would like to acknowledge that Grow Gardens occupy the traditional, ancestral, and contemporary lands of Indigenous people. The Ho-Chunk Nation has been on these lands for over 3 ice ages. The Dakota to the west of the Mississippi have resided for countless generations. Please join us to honor that heritage and the sacred lands of all Indigenous people. This acknowledgement is an opportunity to increase awareness of the historical and present spiritual and personal significance of this land to its original stewards.